Hey everyone, my name is Arif Mirza from Name Cult. I am the host producer of the main socials and of the main panels. For those wondering the difference between the two, not too much. It's usually the same people in attendance. With the socials, it's more of a community discussion on anything related to domains. And with the domain panel, it's going to be more of expert sort of presentations or Q&As or reviews, feedback. So this October 27th session of the social ended up being pretty much multiple presentations from Richard Lau, Darpan Munjal, Meredith Monroe, and Jonathan Frakes. So what I've done is I've split them up into each of their own show, and I'm greatly appreciative to each of them for what they've shared. Again, would be logo.com, squadhelp.com. Meredith shared some really cool hosting, HT access, sort of domainer hacker tips, really great stuff. And Jonathan went through WordPress installation. So on that note, I will just continue on and let you all get on with the show. If you want to join us in the future, both domain panel and domain social, you can subscribe at domainsocial.com and you'll be getting an email before every show. And that's it. Have a good one. Welcome everybody to the Domain Social for October 27th, 2020, special edition, a Technical Tuesday, we're calling it. We have some great presenters for you to share their platforms and industry tips, tricks, all kinds of stuff that we don't usually have. We have Richard Lau, we have Darpan Munjal, Richard Lau from logo.com, Darpan from SquadHelp. Meredith, I never know whether you want me to say your last name or not, so I'm just gonna say Meredith. She's gonna show us all kinds of tricks with hosting and HT access the files and all kinds of stuff that I've always wanted to know about, but just been afraid to ask. And Jonathan, you all know Jonathan. He's gonna be on and off talking about WordPress installation and setup, and his will be intermingled a bit.
What a cool thing about this group that we have so many really technically capable people. And so I'm actually really looking forward to what Darpan's about to share and then what Meredith is going to talk about later. So sorry for that intervention. And with that, I think I'll hand the baton over.
That's it. All right, Darpan, you're up. Thanks again. Thanks, Jonathan. And thank you, Darpan. Here we go.
All right, thanks, Arif. Thanks, Jonathan. Richard, congratulations. I was just really impressed to see your product. I played around with it some time ago, but it has come a long way. So congrats. It's wonderful. So, for SquadHelp, I don't have any formal presentation. I just wanted to walk through some of the aspects that we focus on, some of the things that might be interesting. I'm assuming there are people in this group, some of them have used SquadHelp, while others may have heard about it, others may not have. So I'm kind of curious, is there anything specific you would like to me to go deeper into? Otherwise, I'm going to run through some of the big picture kind of, aspects. But if somebody has, areas that you would like me to dig deeper into, I'm happy to, walk through live around those aspects as well. Yeah, so I'll pause for a second.
Darpa, I think you nailed it. I think there's a variety of people here who I know there's definitely people who want to ask questions who are users of your platform, and I think there's also a few people who aren't. So maybe just give it doesn't have to be the whole detail. Maybe just give a quick 5-minute run through of the basics. And I think there's a lot of people here who want to ask more the specific questions of how to enhance their experience. So definitely let's focus on that part. But maybe just start with a quick overview of what you're about and how it all works and how to get started.
Yeah, sounds good. So, just as a background, SquadHelp is a naming platform. We started primarily as a crowdsourcing platform, which means that companies can run naming competitions on our platform. One of the things that Richard was talking about around logo competitions, that's one of the things that we do as well, in addition to naming. So we have a community of creatives who can help companies come up with names for their businesses, and they can also help design logos for their names that they just chose from our platform. So that's how we kind of started. And a few years ago we added the marketplace, and the marketplace primarily focuses on brandable domains because, you know, the kind of customers that we get on our platform range from early stage startups to some very established companies who are looking for brand names for their businesses. Of course, a key part of the brand name is a domain name as well. So we found that the marketplace, you know, helped us become or offer much more, you know, complementary services to what we currently used to have, which is the naming contest. So, you know, the marketplace has been growing pretty rapidly the last few years. The main focus for us within the marketplace is in the top funnel area, which means, you know, there's a lot of ways customers can think of names, right? Some people know exactly what kind of name they want. So they might go to a registrar, type that in the registration path, or they might, you know, just type the domain in browser and land on the landing page and hopefully purchase it directly from a seller. But in a lot of cases, what we find is the search starts at a much higher level, at a much more general level, right? Companies usually don't have an idea of exactly what kind of names they want. They may have some kind of ideas on the types of brands that they want to build. They might know certain keywords. So, you know, we focus a lot on getting that kind of population who is just thinking about naming onto our platform. And then we invest significantly into the discovery aspect, which means, you know, if we have over 60,000 names in our marketplace, how do we get the right names in front of the right buyers, especially in case of brandable space? Because, you know, it's not every brandable name has the exact industry keyword that the customer may be searching for. And a lot of times customers are actually not looking for those keywords. You know, a perfect example is if you're looking for, let's say, a yoga brand, doesn't necessarily mean that you want the word yoga inside the name. You may be looking for a name which is like Lululemon, right? And it's very hard to discover that kind of name just by doing a keyword search. You may have absolutely no idea what kind of keywords to use. So that's where we've invested a lot of AI and, you know, in the whole discovery process to make things a lot easier to find. There's still a lot of work. We kind of just have laid the foundation and we are still improving every day, but that's really our main focus. The top level funnel, which is bringing a lot of prospective buyers to our platform to help them find a name, and then leveraging the discovery aspect to help them discover great names that we currently have on the platform. So, you know, I'm just gonna do a quick screen share here. Let's see. So, you know, as a buyer, typically what somebody may search for, you know, names for tech startups, something like that. So, you know, that's a keyword that you use. So, you know, you can see we kind of promoting our site, we show up organically, and there may be other things that they may be searching for. You know, they could be searching for business name generators. They could be searching for, you know, names for cannabis. So there could be many different ways in which buyers start their naming search. Some may not even search in Google, right? I mean, a lot of people don't think of Google as a place to start when they're thinking of a name. So they may just be an early stage startup founder or a brand manager at a firm, and they're just brainstorming some ideas internally. And there, you know, we leverage a lot of channels like, you know, a lot of display channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, to target those kind of people to, again, promote our platform and our marketplace so that we can bring a lot of them to our platform. So, you know, once somebody comes to our platform, let's say, you know, via a search or through one of the ads, you know, they land on something like this. And this is where our discovery process starts, right? So let's say they come here and then just browsing around, and, you know, I may be looking for a cannabis name. So I somehow end up on this cannabis section. And as you're browsing, we are collecting a lot of information about you as a potential buyer. You know, everything you click here, everything you view is telling us something about yourself. You know, it's giving us some more context about what you're looking for. And that's what we use to personalize the whole discovery experience for the buyer. So let's say I'm browsing the site here and just going through this, and I see certain names. I click on one of them. And right there, we can start showing them some similar names that might be relevant to what they just saw. Again, this is all happening in real time based on, their browsing pattern. I may click on another name that I'm interested in. So I'm kind of browsing around, looking at different options. And as I'm going through this, we have now learned enough about you that we can start personalizing the recommendations for you. So next time when I go to the website, to the homepage, or to a specific section, you may start seeing that a lot of recommendations that are coming are now specific to what you just saw. All this gets personalized more and more as you're browsing through the platform. So as you can see now, pretty much all the recommendations are related to cannabis or herb or those kind of keywords, just because we now know some context about you as a customer, that what kind of names you might be looking for. So that's in a nutshell. There is a lot of details around how we personalize and how we improve the discovery, but we have built this platform a lot around data and analytics. And I know it's brandable is such a unique category that data and analytics can only go so far, right? Each name is unique. Just a single letter, how you put that inside the name may completely improve or decimate the quality of the name. So ultimately, there is a lot of human element in selecting the right names to the platform, but the discovery element we are finding helps a lot in terms of different attributes for a name. Can you hear me?
Now we can again. We can now.
Oh, you can. Okay, sorry. So, it's what we have done is we have taken into account different characteristics of name. What style of name it is, what type of name, how long it is, what kind of keywords does it have, what kind of possible uses the name is a good fit for. And we have taken all this data and started building a lot of discovery-oriented technologies to get the right names in front of right people. Very similar to if you're browsing Amazon or if you're listening to some songs on Spotify, as you kind of engage with those websites or those platforms, your recommendations keep getting more and more personalized. And I think, in the end, our view is that in the brandable space, discovery is the biggest challenge that needs to be solved, and that's what we are trying to solve. So every feature that we add, every improvement that we do is somehow finding more ways for people to discover the right products or right names that they might be interested in. Because once that happens, then it can improve the sell-through and all those elements that are typically fairly low in the brandable category can be improved if you can just get the right names in front of the right buyers. And so the whole discovery and exposure is what we focus on a lot. So this is more from a top level what we do. What I can do is spend a few minutes around the different types of listings that we have, and just very quickly, what are some of the more detailed level features. But any questions so far from anyone?
We have a few in the chat. I'm just trying to think what would be in context now. I think what we'll listing, we'll ask that after yours. These are also, I think, yeah, if you go through the certain types, these are good questions for right after you mention that. So I guess you can go on with different types of listings. Then we'll get to those other questions.
Yeah, so let me share my screen again. I just logged in as a seller. So, this is a test account that we have, and we currently have a couple of sample names listed here just to kind of show how things are working. So at a top level, there are two types of listings that we have at SquadHelp. One is what's called a standard listing, and that's where you can pretty much list any names. It's more of think of it as a landing page solution where you can add names, any names that you own to this and build landing pages for those. And then there's a lot of features that come with it to help customers discover those names. And the best the biggest benefit of standard listings is the commissions, which are fairly low. It's 7.5% commission if the name sells, but you get a lot of features that are, related to this offering, which is, live chat support. So somebody from our team 24/7 is monitoring those landing pages, any inbound inquiries, they're responding to them in real time. We help you create visual images, and there is a lot of discovery elements. We just announced yesterday a separate marketplace where customers can actually go and discover these standard listings. So there is several benefits of just adding a landing page, but that's kind of the base level. That's where, if you have names, you can list them here. The second offering category is what we call premium listings, and that's the premium section, which gets the most exposure on our platform. That's where a lot of end users are coming in through all the advertising that we do, through all the Google searches, through, there's a lot of prospecting based advertisement that we do, which bring people to this section. So the discovery as a result is much higher. And of course, there's more benefits you get in premium listings. For example, we design a logo for you, and there's a lot more features that come with this that are kind of available to anyone who has listed this. The premium listings do require, there is an approval process. It's about 8 to 10% of the names that get approved. For standard listings, there is no approval. So let's just dive in a little bit deeper into the standard listings. You'll go to this section, My Domains, and you can just start setting up, adding new names. So you can just click here and you can either link the names right, submit the names right here, or what I actually like is a Google Sheets integration, because this makes it a lot easier for you to just submit names. You can just literally click on this and just type any names that you're looking to add, or you can just copy paste them from another spreadsheet that you might have. So I'm just going to add a name just for type. I'm going to just call it Beauty Bliss SH because it's not a real name. I'm just going to give it a price and some description. These root words are important because all of these are feeding into our discovery process. The more information you share about your name, it helps our AI, recommend those names to the people who, when they're kind of searching for names or looking for names that have, similar characteristics. I can, select a category here, and let's say I just stop here. I could do a lot of more information, but, if I just do this, I can go back here and import, and those names, so that name is already here. The more information you put in, you'll be able to kind of get all that populated through that Google Sheets. I'm just going to verify this real quick just so that we can do more with this in a second. Okay, so it should be verified now. So the one thing that you can do now that you have a landing page, a name that is set up, you can actually generate some visual images. And by that, what I mean is, based on the category of the name, we can create these context sensitive images that help improve the discovery of the name.
Can you tell us what the commission rate is for the premium domain names?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the price. It goes anywhere from 30% to 10% based on the price. So there's different options, different levels, but that's the general kind of rate. Most common range would be 30%, which is up to 5,000, and then above 5,000 it goes down to 25, and then there is a sliding scale based on the selling price. And one thing that a lot of people ask is, why are the commissions so high? It's a valid question because it's something that, as a seller, of course, your goal should be to keep those commissions as low as possible. And for us, the majority of those commissions or any other, revenue that we have, we put this all back into marketing. So all the advertising that we do, all the exposure that comes with it is really what is, what justifies that commission. If you, have a name that gets a lot of traffic on its own, let's say it's getting a lot of inquiries on its own, you may not want to list it in a premium section. If you feel that that name might sell eventually on its own, you may want to list it either on our white label or our standard listings, or you may want to list it elsewhere, right? Dan, FT, there's many different options that are out there that are great options. So, of course, the brandable domains that are hard to discover on their own are the ones where it makes a lot more sense to pay those higher commissions, just because a platform like ours or any other brandable marketplace can potentially give you an additional exposure and traffic that you may not otherwise receive on that name. So I'm just going to skip that specific name. There's some issue with this website setup that I was just adding, but what I can do is go back to, here's an example. So of all the standard listings, you can also set up your own white label marketplace. And that's, how a white label marketplace looks like. Again, there's no cost to set it up. It's all, free. There's no monthly fees. Once you have set up, you can set up, these kind of listings. In this case, the seller has also added some interesting GIF files just to make the images a lot more, interesting. And this is how kind of what a landing page would look like. As you can see, by default, there is a lot of things that are already included in here. There is a payment plan that comes with these names. There is, of course, our own escrow process. You have that live chat. You can make an offer. So there's a lot of things that you can do right within that standard listing, and all these other recommendations. So for example, in this case, I was looking at some kitchen related names. So our AI is automatically recommending other names that are related to, kitchen, again, from that seller's listing. So the good thing is, within the marketplace, all the recommendations that are coming in are also from the same seller, so that you're not leaking that traffic to, somebody else, for the lack of better words, because, a lot of sellers are concerned about that aspect. So, it's a good solution to get started, but again, the premium is where you will get a lot more exposure. So, I can cover that for a second here in terms of what that entails. So this is kind of our premium marketplace. You can browse through different sections. There's also a personalized, you can do like a AI kind of name generation based on, if you tell us a little bit more about what kind of styles you're looking for, we can give you more ideas. If you go into here, one thing that we have built is what's called an instant search technology. So as you're typing names, even though there are over 65,000 names, you can type any keyword here, and you will see that the results are literally instant. And that helps again with the whole discovery process, because a lot of buyers, like to kind of play around with this, see different options, try different keywords, and see what's coming up. So that again helps with keeping them engaged. And in the end, all these things help us convert more of these buyers into actually, customers. The one interesting aspect about this is, like I said, we started as a contest platform. So at any point, we have hundreds of contests that are live that you can participate in. A lot of times, it helps in two ways. One, you can see what kind of trends are happening right now. All these companies are looking for some type of business name, and you can read their brief and kind of see, okay, what are people looking for these days? Because it gives you a good indication of, just after COVID started, for example, we started seeing a lot of competitions around, of course, hygiene and health related projects. So it gives you kind of a good early view into what our customers are looking for. You can read their briefs to get ideas on the business models, and you can submit your premium names into these competitions. So if those names get selected, you will, the customer will end up buying your name. So you're literally pitching to live customers based on what the customer has already told you. In this case, they have written a detailed brief about, what is it that they're looking for. So after reading that, you can, go through your portfolio, and, all these details would be helpful in finding what might be a right name for that business. The other thing that you can do is you can also open up your portfolio for the entire community to submit on your behalf. So not only can you submit to the contest, but also we have over 200,000 people on the platform. If they see a contest, they can browse through the listings that are available to be submitted, and they can submit somebody else's premium name to that competition. And again, if that name gets selected, that person who submitted the name will end up getting that contest award. In this case, it's a small award. Many of the contests have over $300 or $500 award. But you as a seller will end up selling that name. So it's kind of like a win-win for everyone. The customer finds the name that they're looking for. The person who submitted the name ends up, getting the name submitted and wins the contest. And then the customer walks away with the name that they ended up, wanting. There is, again, we built, more AI in these aspects too. So as you are, as you build a portfolio, our system will keep detecting what kind of names might be a good fit for which contest, and it'll send you recommendations. So in this case, as SquadHelp, full transparency, we own a name, recruitable.com, that is listed in our marketplace. That is the only name that we have listed on our own marketplace. Just, so that we can kind of test a few things. So in this case, the AI gave us a recommendation that this name is a good fit for this contest. We can go through the contest, read the brief, and if it makes sense, we can submit it there. It just is, many different ways in which you can improve discovery. We're just focusing on building as many of them as possible. There's a lot of more features to go through.
I have a little technical question on that. Sorry about that. So if you have your portfolio as your standalone in that separate thing,
yep,
would they be detectable by clients in this side, or you have to add them manually, or?
Well, so we just announced a all domains marketplace, which is basically it's a collection of all the domains that are listed anywhere, either on our white label platforms. So we have several hundred white label marketplaces that are set up. So this is a collection of every single name that we have. So what we do, we just announced this, and we are looking for different ways in which we're going to promote this. And one of the ways would be if the customer is coming to our site, let's say they come to the premium section and they didn't find any name, we will then start doing retargeting. We will start showing them ads. Hey, here is our expanded collection that you can look at, and hopefully find name from that marketplace. So while this may not be the one place where we bring a lot of prospective customers, we will use this combined marketplace and promote this wherever we find that the customer hasn't found a good name so far, and this could be a potential way to give more exposure to additional names that we have listed either in our own platform or on these white label marketplaces. So that's the collection of all the marketplaces combined.
Okay, and I think I had a couple people asking questions. If a sale is made through the person's own sort of marketplace, it's a different commission. Is that correct?
So if the sale is made through your white label marketplace, it's a 7.5% commission. That's a fixed commission regardless of the price. Now, what we are building, we're going to announce that in the next week or 2 weeks, is we're going to also start offering commissions if for some reason somebody goes to your landing page and ends up buying some other name. We will actually, it's really an enhanced parking, if you will, right? If you're bringing us a customer, we want you to benefit from any potential sale that happens. So there is, more things we're going to announce in that area, but in the end, if you're helping us, if somebody liked your name, typed your name, came to your landing page directly, and then ended up buying something else, in that case, you should participate somehow in that sale, and that's what we're going to build. It's going to happen in the near future. But yeah, so that's in terms of the actual the commission itself, it's 7.5%. It's fixed, and it's basically based on it doesn't matter whether the customer came from our platform or your marketplace. If they bought that one name that's a standard listing, that's the commission.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I think it was Adam Strong who asked that question. And I'll just add, does that 7.5% include all the handling fees, like the credit card and all that stuff?
Yeah, everything. So even if they set up a 24 months installment plan, all that is included. We handle all the escrow. We keep the domain in our account for those 24 months. We collect the payment every month from the customer's card. And then once that's paid off, we transfer the domain. In the meantime, we will help the customer, we will hold the domain with us and, set up their website. So whatever needs to be done. So that all that is part of that 7.5%. That's in the base level. Of course, all of this is also included in the premium section, but this itself, the escrow payment and the transaction fees are all covered in the 7.5% commission.
Okay. Richard P asked here, is there a listing fee?
So on the standard listing, there is no listing fee. There's no listing fee to add a listing. There's no listing fee. There's no fee to set up this white label marketplace. On the premium side, you have two options. You can submit the domains either for free, which means, there is no fees to submit the name, or you can pay what we call a SquadHelp coin to submit that listing. The difference between those two is, in the first case, one, your review approval time will likely be longer. So it might take, a couple of weeks for us to come back to you whether or not we're gonna, be able to accept that name or not. And second is, at the lower tier, your commission may be higher. So in up to $24.99 or up to $2,500, if you submit the domain without that listing fee, or without that coin, then your commission may be about 5% higher. But after $24.99, above that amount, the commissions are basically the same. So it's really the differences between the lower price domains. The commission is slightly higher if you submit the domain without using a coin. And a coin, the cost of the coin is $1 basically, but then there is different levels that we offer on the marketplace, and the commission changes, or the cost of coin changes. Basically, the more domains you have listed on the platform, you get discounts. So you can get about 50% discount if you have higher number of domains listed on our site.
Another question here from Ryan. Do the listings require exclusivity?
Yeah, it's a good question. So on the premium, yes, we do a lot of advertisement. We create a logo. So we make a lot of investment in getting the names the right visibility. So we do require exclusivity. Now the difference is, we automatically syndicate all names to CEDO. So which means that, if you list a name in the premium section, they will automatically be listed by us on CEDO platform. If you use that coin that I was talking about, you also get what's called a partial exclusivity option, which means that you can also list that name on a network like Afternic. We don't list it for you. We don't have a direct partnership in terms of that listing, but you as a seller are allowed in that case to go ahead and list that name on Afternic as well, in addition to SquadHelp. If that name sells, you just have to at that point let us know. The thing that we find is, a lot of times what happens is, sellers or buyers may discover the name on our platform, and then they might research the name and see it's available on GoDaddy, and they may end up buying that name on that platform just because they can see it's fast transfer, or they may be more familiar with GoDaddy. So we just want to, offer this in a very limited and controlled fashion. So therefore, we only offer this with, if you use the coins, we give you that flexibility. There is kind of like, we don't track. Of course, we don't have a way to track if those listings get sold or not. It's a good faith kind of thing that you will let us know if that name sold. And in that case, you will basically pay us whatever the difference of commission there was between SquadHelp and Afternic. So you don't, of course, we don't get the whole commission, but you pay the difference.
Another question here about if there's any plans for crypto payouts.
So we started accepting crypto as a payment option. We have, to be honest, that's one thing we have not looked at. If there is enough people who are interested in that, one thing about our platform is everything we do is based on feedback that's from our community. If you go to our discussion forum, every week we are adding features, and 8 out of 10 of those features are based on what we hear from that discussion forum. People tell us about this is what we need, and that's what we build. So, if there's enough people who tell us that they need something like a crypto payout, we'll build it. We currently have PayPal, we pay out via Payoneer. We can even pay out via wire transfers if your payout is over $10,000. We just don't have the wire transfer automated, so we keep it above a certain threshold.
Yeah.
But crypto is something we can look at. It's just not something we have explored, at least for now.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in with some questions? Feel free to jump on. I have a few here. Otherwise,
well, I have just a little technical question to ask.
Yep.
Hello, Darpan.
Hi, Joel.
I have not started yet using SquadHelp,
Okay.
but I was wondering, since I'm going to change registrars soon, is it preferable to change a registrar before I list? Could that affect, let's say, if I have listings on SquadHelp and I change registrars 3 months later, could that affect the listing?
Well, it won't affect the listing. In case of standard listings, there is no exclusivity. So in that case, there is absolutely you can list it anywhere else. You don't need to point the name servers if you don't want to. You can just verify your ownership by adding a text record to the domain. If it's a premium name, you do need to point the name servers to SquadHelp. But if you change the registrar, all you have to make sure is that those name servers remain pointed to us. The one thing that can happen if you're changing registrars is it might add a 60 days lock, in which case, if a customer buys the domain, we give them the option to take the transfer within the same registrar if the domain is still locked. But sometimes they have they only want it in one particular registrar. So in that case, it might cause some issues if your name is locked for a transfer. But otherwise, there's no difference.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
I'm going through the list again. There's one other question. Anthony K asked, he's seen cloud brokerage mentioned on the site, but I've not seen any brokers listed on this site. How active is this program, and how does one get access to a cloud broker?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, of all the things we've added, cloud brokerage is one I was actually fairly excited about. And I would say, I don't think we have done either a good job in implementing it, or we just haven't gotten a lot of traction. And the reason for that is, I think there was an issue in how we set up this program, because, the way this program works as a background is anybody can apply to become a cloud broker. And what that means is they will start promoting your portfolio of domains, either via outbound or other means, to get you a buyer. And if that buyer comes, that cloud broker earns a commission, because they will be given a special link that you can use to promote those names, so we can track where the link is coming from. We're just finding that not a lot of brokers, not a lot of sellers are interested in that kind of offering. Some people did apply for cloud broker, and they are currently promoting those names, but we just haven't gotten a lot of adoption. So I would say I would give this a low score in terms of how well this program is working. We are going to revamp this. We're going to totally change how this is going to work, make it a lot easier for people to promote the listings. So it's going to happen in the next, I would say about a month or so. You'll see a totally different way of how we will leverage this. We do want to leverage our community. We have a large community of, like I said, 200,000 people. Many of them are motivated to, either outbound or, find other ways to promote your product on social media. So, there is definitely an opportunity here. We just haven't found the right answer. So we're going to keep trying and find an answer that hopefully is better than what it is right now.
Okay. Here, I got another question from Ezekiel. He wants to know if we can add our own logo to standard listings for free.
Yeah, you can add your own logos to standard listings, no charge. You can also, I'll show you, I don't know if it's here, but so this is the logo that the seller added in this case, there's no cost to this. You do have the option for SquadHelp to design the logos. I believe Stu is on the call. I don't want to put you on the spot, but let me go through your marketplace here as an example. So some of these are, logos that are designed by the SquadHelp team. The benefit of this is if you use the SquadHelp team to design a logo, and by team, I'm meaning the logo designer community. Again, all of this is crowdsourced. We have a selected pool of designers who will design that logo for you. There's a fee in this case. They'll charge $5 to create that logo. But when that happens, that logo gets included in our retargeting ads, which means that, if a customer visits this landing page and now they're on Google or any other websites, they will start seeing the ads for this specific domain as well as other related domains, just to again keep that engagement, keep that connection with their buyer. So hopefully after 3 or 4 days, it's still fresh in their mind and they can come back and make the purchase. So that we find a lot of success with retargeting. So that's one benefit. But if you don't want us to design it, you of course can upload your own logos, or you can even use that visual image that didn't work that I was trying to show earlier. But that's one which gives you an instant image that you can use to start promoting on social media, and it just helps with the discovery. So yes, there's different options.
Okay, actually another question from him as well is how are premium domains curated? Some sellers seem to be able to price their domains a lot higher than others. Is there, I guess? Yeah.
So, this is a process for us. So when we started, all names went through an approval process where somebody from our internal team would look at the name and accept or reject. What we found was a lot of times, especially brandable, that can be subjective, right? One person's yes or no may not be enough. So what we built was a pool of experienced domainers who can now weigh in on that process. So there's a panel of people who can actually, put in their votes. Of course, they're all shown randomized names, and each name goes through at least 10 or 12 different kind of voting processes. So there's enough randomization to exclude any bias, but it gives us a much better, deeper, collective insights around these names tend to be liked by a lot of people who have a lot of experience in this space. And those are the names we tend to approve. Now, the final approval is still with SquadHelp. Somebody from our internal team may still look at the name or approve and reject it, but that feedback from the pool of expert reviewers helps us just be more I guess grounded and better in the decision making, because it's coming from many different. It's a collective input from many different people. In terms of pricing, you can, while you're submitting a name, you can submit a price. You can say that I would like this domain listed at this price. We may just approve it at the price that you would like, or in some cases we may come back and say, no, this may be too high, and we believe we can accept this name for this level on our marketplace, just to make, because similar names that we see are selling for this kind of price point on our marketplace. And you have the option at that point to accept or not accept our recommendation, or list or not list the name on our platform. Now, as your tiers, as you have more names, you do get some flexibility. So like I was saying, if you have 50 plus names listed, you can then have the ability to change your name listing price. So you can, increase or decrease the price up to 50%. So there is a lot of flexibility you get in pricing based on how many domains you have listed. We still like it to be, controlled, but what we're finding is people have more experience with our marketplace and they get a better idea of what's selling and what's not selling, then they are in a much better position to adjust their prices. So therefore we kind of open this up over time as you build more kind of experience with our platform. And once you kind of understood what kind of, customers are buying what kind of names at what price point. And we have a lot of insights that are available for everyone. I mean, we literally have almost the entire database of sales. You can research what sold at what price. You can also go through what did the buyer look at. So if they bought a name and for a certain price, what were the other names that they looked at before buying the name? So you can actually research a lot of things that, again, gives you some insight around if somebody was interested in this specific name, they looked at those 4 options. That gives you some idea about the thought process of potential buyers, and that might help you discover more names, similar to those names that the buyer researched, just because they tend to be resonating well with the buyers.
Yeah, actually, because I was actually one of the other questions is like, what do you look for in a premium listing? But where would people find that sort of information, that data?
So if you go into your marketplace, now, depending on your levels, some of the data may be a bit limited, but again, it opens up. So if you go into this section, there's Marketplace Insights. So you can see the completed sales, and you can see the buyer insights. Some of this may be, so in this case, I'm using an account which is not I don't have a published listing. So I can, if anybody wants to volunteer, I can log in as that person and show you how it looks like. I don't want to, assume that you're okay with sharing your account. But once once you are logged in and you have some names listed, you will be able to browse pretty much all the sales that we have. You can search from them based on syllables, keywords, based on price. Or you can actually, like I was saying, go through the journey. This is the page you will go to. You just don't get access immediately. You get access after you've listed a few names with us, just because, a lot of this data is,
Valuable,
kind of confidential, but, we want to do our best to share it with as many people who have at least listed some names with us.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. Anybody else have any questions? I've probably missed a few. There's a lot of going on in the chat.
Arif, I've got one, or actually two actually. Darpan, hi, Jason Shepard here.
Hey, Jason.
I've got 50 plus names with you, a number that I'm getting ready to list, and I'm submitting them very frequently. And I have a couple of questions about pricing and approval. First one is on pricing. I know you mentioned earlier that they may adjust the price based on the asking price. Do they factor in what you have it listed for now, or is it a standalone decision making on that?
What you have listed for, meaning in a different platform, you mean?
Yeah, if it's on a lander and it's on, say, Dan or Afternic or CETA right now, and it's listed at a certain price, is that going to weigh into their decision making as far as what they're going to approve it for in SquadHelp?
Unlikely. Now, we may look at it just to see what it's listed at. We may sometimes do a little bit more research around if it was, if it has any previous history around what it was purchased for or sold for, but a lot of times that's not typically a factor. What we really look at is, based on our understanding of a name of this type, what kind of prices our buyers are paying on our platform. That's what we will primarily use to kind of price those names. So, in some cases, yes, we may look at it. I would say 8 out of 10 times that will likely not be a factor.
Okay, and then the second question I have is, with the approval process, it either I have read or I seem to get the impression from your comments earlier that the people the domainers that you have on staff, the experts, it seems that they are presented with multiple options, and they select which they like better. Would that mean that submitting multiple names at once would hurt my chances of all of them getting approved? Because they might be viewing 2 of my names and therefore they can only choose one of the 2, or how does that work?
That's a great question. So, the way it works is it's completely randomized. So at any given time, we have, several hundred listings that are pending review. So what happens is we will take 4 random names from that entire pool, not just your portfolio. And we will show that, to one of the reviewers and say, which one of these do you think would be a good fit for a marketplace? Then we'll take another 4 random names and show those to another approver and ask the same question. And then we make sure that every one of your names goes through at least 8 or 10 of these types of reviews so that it has enough input from multiple people in a randomized fashion. So that issue, it's a valid concern. In reality, it doesn't happen just because, every name will go through at least 10 iterations of 10 different polls, and each poll will have 3 other randomized names that may or may not be your own portfolio.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yep. you're
I
welcome.
got one more question. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how it works, but maybe this will make sense to you. Someone changed prices on some premium domains, but they said the prices on Cedo stayed the same even after a month.
Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I've actually, we were just having an internal discussion on that. We had some issues with our feed that was causing that with some of the domains. Basically, we have a daily feed that we send to Cedo whenever a price is updated. And what happened is, in some cases, that did not recognize that the pricing was changed on our side. So yes, it's an issue that should be resolved now. But if you're still experiencing it, let us know. We will make sure it's sorted out. At this point, we believe that issue is resolved.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Ezekiel, your question: How do we become experts? I think it's a little bit too broad. Alan, are you there? You want to ask your question? So it's a little bit long for me to.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question. You're like, it was a little bit long for me to figure out.
All right. So many questions, of course, but one burning.
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes. Well, I think Dr.
One burning one. So I've noticed that SquadHelp occasionally does bulk acceptances that kind of goes beyond the standard review process, where you will accept a very high percentage of domains from certain domain investors. And a lot of feedback that I've seen, as well as kind of my own personal feeling, is that this is not really a fair process. And so I'm wondering, why do you give certain sellers with larger portfolios what seems like special treatment?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a valid concern. What I would say is, I wouldn't call it a special treatment, but I would call more a matter of making things as efficient as possible. If somebody comes to us and say, I have 5,000 names, if it would be a highly inefficient for those 5,000 names to go through that poll system that I was talking about with 10 reviews per name. It will take a much longer time. So in some of those cases, we may ask them to give us the entire portfolio, and we can kind of do an assessment based on our own internal team. Similar to now even the sellers have the option to say, I don't want to go through the export review process. They also have the option for our team to review those names. So in some cases we may go through a different process, but I would say it has happened less than 3 or 4 times in total. The number one seller on our platform who has the most listed domains, I would say, has submitted all their names using the same exact process as everybody else, have approved the names as everybody else. But yes, there are some sellers where we, just for the efficiency's sake, we may have reviewed names using a spreadsheet and given them some feedback based on what names we can accept.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll jump in, and just to make things fair too, is that, like, as somebody who sees a lot of variation in different levels of domainers, I mean, you're going to have some people who have 5,000 domains, and most of them are quality, very sellable domains. And then you'll also have, some people with a couple hundred domains. And unfortunately, in this business, there's some people with hundreds of domains, and none of them are sellable. And plus, with Darpan's platform, it's brandable as well. So there's only certain types. So, I mean, in fairness, I would do the same thing because if some people have a history of having consistently quality names that sell, well then I don't really see anything wrong with having a faster process to approval, because it's more efficient for everybody. And unfortunately, I know there's a lot. Like, I'm not speaking about anybody here in particular or anybody asking questions. I'm saying that there's a lot of newer domainers who hope to have their stuff in SquadHelp and magically sell domains. But the reality is that they're submitting domains that are just not sellable or not desirable, and that's there's a big learning curve in domain.
If it's a curated marketplace, the standards should be the same for everyone, I feel. So, like, if you have a domain that has like 3 words and it's very long, and it would never be accepted from one seller, and yet it's accepted when submitted by another seller, just to me that seems a little unequal.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, our goal is to sell more names, right? I mean, there is no other goal that we would have is other than to sell names. If we find names that we believe we can sell, we will accept them. If there are names that we honestly don't believe we can sell, we will not accept them. Now, some names may go through, that one process or the other. In the end, if the name doesn't qualify or doesn't fit that criteria, it won't be our best interest to accept it, right? We may accept thousands of names, and then suddenly our sell-through for the entire platform crashes just because we took a lot of names that we couldn't have sold otherwise. There is no value or benefit for everyone for us to go through that process. So we try to keep it as fair as possible, but at the same time, sometimes there is efficiencies that come into play, and it's a balance. And in most cases, we just try to be as transparent as possible.
Understood, but so is it to a domain investor's advantage then to just save up a large cache of domains and then say submit them all at once so that we can get like a 50% or higher approval rating?
What we have heard is, if our internal team reviews the names, it's typically a lower approval rate than what you might be able to get through the expert review process. So there is no way to tell, right? As Arif was saying, it comes down to the quality of your portfolio. If you have listed those names, let's say another brandable platform, you may already have gone through a vetting process once, and maybe you already have some great names. 70% of your names may be perfect for our platform. In other cases, none of them may be. So it just depends on your portfolio and how well we believe it can resonate with our customers, that we have some idea of what kind of names they're looking for. We have certain industries that do well on our platform, certain other industries that don't. So we kind of take into account those aspects and just take what we believe has the highest likelihood of selling on our platform.
Yeah. Darpan, it's 5 o'clock. How hard is your stop for 5 o'clock? Did you want to do a couple?
I can stay on. I mean, it's not a hard stop. If there are more questions, I'm happy to stay on.
Vito has a question, actually. He wanted to know for the approval process, do the people reviewing, the experts, do they see the people's names when they submit?
No, absolutely not. They don't see any of that information. All they see is the actual name that they're reviewing. Any other metadata, like submitter's name or the price or any of the details, are not shown to them.
Yeah. Pavel mentioned it. Sometimes it takes 6 seconds or a little bit more for WLN landing pages to open. Is there any plans of speeding it up, or is that?
So we just last week completely revamped our caching technology. If that's still taking you that long, you may want to just send that link to just chat with us. We have a 24/7 chat. Just send it to them. I know they'll forward it to me. I believe at this point, everything should
checked a while ago, so might have, there might be an older.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, all landing pages should be literally, instant at this point. I mean, everything is, using a fairly advanced caching technology now, which is much faster. So, at this point, that should not be an issue. But if it is, we'll definitely, that's a number one priority after, the whole discovery is continue to make sure our platform operates at a speed and load times that are extremely fast, because not only it's good for end user experience, it also helps with SEO and all those aspects. So it's definitely a very critical, requirement for us.
Yeah. Here's a good question. Ezekiel asks, how to become a reviewing expert?
It's a good question. So you can, the short answer is you can send an email to either service@SquadHelp or just chat with us and let us know that you are interested in becoming one. We may need to kind of look at your portfolio. Usually we would need to kind of have you have some experience with our own platform, because we want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the styles of names that we typically accept and the types of customers that we get. So it may take a while for you to kind of gain that kind of just experience within our own platform, but over time that's certainly a possibility. I think it's just currently we had limited slots. We opened that up. Those are filled, but as kind of people vacate those spots, we definitely will need to kind of fill them back again. So just send us an email and we'll just keep it with us and reach out to you.
I've actually a question, a little bit kind of out of the left field, but out of you have about 200,000 people within the community, right? Do you know approximately how many of those are actual domainers?
I would. So here's an interesting part. A lot of people in our community started submitting names, who submitted names to our contest. We gave them the option that they can now, like, we can register names on their behalf and list it in our marketplace. So there's an option that we offer where we can register the names, pay for registrations and renewals. And if those names sell, they get a smaller commission of those names. And a lot of people who are on our platform are what we call them creatives, and they are not domainers, but many of them have built a fairly sizable portfolio with that method where, they submitted a bunch of names to competitions and they've been participating in hundreds of competitions every month. And they have, thousands of names, and many of them are good quality names that are now listed in our marketplace as a premium name. And if that name sells, of course, they get a portion of that proceed. So I won't call them domainers, but many of them have started in that path, and some of them have then moved on to become a domainer, because now that they know that these names can sell at a even hand-read selling at 2,000 plus price point within few months, they kind of realize that there is a huge potential here. So many of them are now registering their own names and submitting them to our marketplace, and have kind of become domainers. So it's an interesting learning process for somebody new, just to start participating in competitions to see what kind of names are being liked by customers, and that gives you more confidence around what kind of names would be good to invest in to become a domainer. In fact, we use a lot of data and insights from our competitions when we are accepting names. If we can see that name already received several likes, or people like them in the competitions, it has a much higher chance of getting accepted in the platform, just because we have more analytics available around that name, that it's likely to be sold because we have seen evidence that people like that name when it was submitted to competitions.
Yeah, that's just really interesting, because here, obviously, this group here is mostly experienced domainers and some newer ones, but I get a lot of messages from people watching the YouTube replays from newer people, thanking, information is great. So I'm just going to ask this part for them and expand on what you just said. So there's an opportunity for somebody to come join SquadHelp, not actually purchase domain names, but have you purchase them for them. So you would pay for the I guess it's all hand registrations, I'm guessing. So
that's right.
You pay for that fee, and then
Correct.
I guess renewals. And they don't pay anything. They just get a smaller commission, obviously, if the domain sells. Do they ever get the opportunity to buy that domain back from you, or?
Not currently. Now, it's just more than anything else, it will become a administrative nightmare for us if we had the ability to start transferring thousands of domains to different people. We don't have that option. Now, at some point, we may add some liquidation options. So we're kind of thinking of ways to kind of still find a way to monetize. If the name don't sell, how do we get them listed in our wholesale marketplace? For example, we have a separate marketplace for wholesale buyers. So there's a possibility to monetize them there. But currently, if you go through that path where we register the name, then we continue to own that name, and we will continue to.
I mean, it's still cool because somebody could start, and it doesn't cost them anything. And also by default, they would be able to test their skills of developing a domain, because if you don't accept it, then they know it's a bad domain, and if you accept it, you need to meet certain standards.
More than us accepting or not, I think they can get a real-time feedback from the customers, right? End users, they're submitting those names to competitions. If their names are getting liked in those competitions, that's a real validation that end users are liking my names. I think more than SquadHelp's validation, that's even more important, because if you are kind of seeing that your names are being liked by end users, you will likely be very successful in this space. And I think that's a good playground to start submit a bunch of names, see what styles are being liked, and then start investing in some of those names. Of course, once you are more confident, it's in your best interest to register your own names, not pay us that higher commission. You should be keeping that higher commission. So, for an established domainer, this route may not be, very a great route, but for somebody new who's just learning the process, I think it's a good way for you to get your hands in and build a portfolio, and then just start playing with some of the features like installment options and make an offer, see what kind of things work, what don't work, and then start investing in your own names.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and just just speaking to those people again, I'm just going to say, on the broader scale, also just if you submit a domain to SquadHelp and they reject it, it doesn't necessarily mean that the domain is a bad domain. It just means that it's not right for their customer, because it's they have a specific niche of customer, and it's pretty broad at this point. I think you have a large pool of buyers, but I mean, I don't think you'll ever accept a specific geo. Like a geo plus let's say service or whatever it is, because it's too specific.
Yeah, geo plus, we're kind of starting to get into other TLDs a little bit. So we do accept like .ios and .cos. We started accepting .lys, a couple of other TLDs, but in most cases we don't get into country codes yet. So .ins or .uk, we won't accept those yet, at least yet, because just the base becomes much smaller, and we just want our names to have as wide an appeal as possible.
Yeah. I think I heard of a couple of significant. You have a couple of decent .co sales, I think it was, on your platform.
Yeah, we've sold few that were in the mid to high, 5 figures .cos. We've also done a couple of .ios that are in that range. So it's picking up. We're definitely seeing more and more interest in those alternative extensions, especially in the real words. That's where most of the demand is for .cos and .ios, and .ios is, in fact, I would say, even more popular than .cos in terms of what especially the startups, early stage startups, are looking for.
Wow, you heard it here, guys. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Anybody else have any other questions? Jason, you have your question was, Jason, what's the difference between the $1 and $2 classification service by SquadHelp expert creatives?
Yeah, it's a good question. So as a background, so this is another example where you can leverage our community to help you with classifying your domains. And but by that, what I mean is, like I said, almost everything in our platform is built around discovery. And for that to happen, you need to write a description for the name. You need to make sure it has assigned a few different categories, few different keywords. What are the root words is it based on? What emotions does it convey? You can do all of that yourself, or you can outsource that to somebody within our community who can do it for you. Again, these are the people we have, selected from our community who we believe have, are great with writing and have, good experience in creating, good descriptions that sell. So you can pay for that. There's 2 levels. You can pay either $1 per domain name for all that classification to be done, or $2. And the only difference is some creatives only take $2 submissions, just because they're balancing their time. So you might get a higher quality domainer or writer who will take that up. There's more people who would want to do classification if you're paying $2 versus $1. In the end, I don't believe it makes that much difference. So if you are starting to test with that, I would say test with the $1 option. If you're getting good results there, just stay at that level. Don't pay more. But you will definitely see a larger pool competing to do your classification if you're offering a higher rate.
Pavel, are you there? You able to turn your microphone on? You had a question about. I just want to make sure I get it properly. If any of you guys have questions,
well, let me ask this question, Darpan, because I think many of us are starting to diversify. Like, I say this up and down that .com, .io, and some of the other strings are, in the pinnacle of value, but there are some good NTLDs that come through. Like, I personally own cross.country, and there's some that are just a perfect combination. I think Pavel was asking about Green Dot Group and Canna Market. Are there some? Is there a list of the NTLDs that you're welcoming onto the platform?
Yeah, so the NTLEs currently, we don't accept per se into the premium section. We do, sometimes we experiment. So we may take a couple of extensions just to see, are we getting any interest? So if you have a really strong name, we might take it, but it's unlikely, at least at this point.
So what does that process look like? Is that an email to you or an account representative or someone, or?
Yeah, so typically, you would first add it to your standard listing, and then there should be an upgrade option to upgrade it to premium. If that NTLE is one of the list that we are, either testing or accepting, that option will be visible to you. So you should be able to just click on upgrade to premium, and that'll just go through the standard review process. You can basically add them to standard and just click on upgrade to premium. So you should be able to list them. Now, if it's still not an extension that's allowed in our universe, you may not yet have that option, but in that case, just let us know that you're seeing a lot of demand. What we do is we kind of continue to review, what's the next, TLD that we should accept, and we may just add that as an allowed option in the next few weeks or something like that. But
so the other question, Darpan, is around, because I do a lot with universal acceptance with not just other TLDs, but also IDNs. Does your platform allow internationalized domains in other languages, like Tamil or Hebrew or Chinese, Japanese, Korean?
Yeah, that's a good question. Currently, unfortunately, we do not. I mean, it's an interesting space. We just haven't, we just don't know much about it yet to start accepting it, but something worth exploring for sure.
If you're going to do it right. So that's the right approach, is, don't do it by the halves would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
So that's a good approach, is to evaluate it. So thank you for answering that question.
Absolutely. It's a good question. We just keep testing, and one thing we do is we just test a lot of things every week. We're just adding new features or trying new things, and based on what works is where we go deeper and just invest more and build more. And that approach has worked well so far. But on the other hand, it also can sometimes make things look a little chaotic, because a lot of sellers rightfully feel that there's a lot of things on the platforms and things change very rapidly, and it's a learning curve, and all those are valid feedback. I think it's just part of our DNA is to move very, very rapidly, test a lot of ideas very quickly, and we just have to find the right balance so we don't make things confusing for sellers, but at the same time we are finding ways to just move to the next level in terms of finding ways to sell these domains to the customers. So it's something we'll just keep on doing.
Yeah, I guess it's funny because I guess it's also not just the sellers, I mean the buyers, but it's also the sellers as well. I know for me, like I came on a couple of years ago. I stopped at one point. Things have changed a lot since then. But it's like you hear so much stuff with SquadHelp. It's like, I almost don't want to start because I know it's going to be like a day exploring all your features and options. And it's I mean, yeah, there's a little learning curve, but it's good in that I guess you have a lot of options, a lot of tools, a lot of I mean, this is great stuff you're sharing with us that I didn't even know about, and it's just it's good that you have all these things, and I'm very grateful that you're here to explain the details and being very having candor and honesty, and not trying to shy away from questions. It's extremely appreciated, and it's probably a reason for you having the success that you're having.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So Vito asked a question, Darpan, and I think this will help people on ramp more, is how do you get most quickly if you want to list domains? Like, what's the least expensive way to get on and get in?
So least expensive and quickly would be, they won't go hand in hand. If you want to go for the least expensive way, I would say start with the free listing option. Just submit a bunch of names for premium, and it'll take a couple of weeks for them to be reviewed, sometimes faster, but that would be the best way to get started without any investment at all. If you are the other option is to buy some of these coins and then invest some names or submit some names. You will get to the decisions of approvals will be a lot faster. And then there is, of course, other benefits that I was talking about around, better commission and ability to list them on other platforms. So you get more benefits by doing the coin based. But if you just want to go for, the lowest investment upfront, the free submission option would be the way to start.
Thank you. Vito, did that cover your question?
I have one more question from Pavel.
Yes,
here.
that was. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Darpan. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
thank
problem,
you,
Vito. Absolutely.
Yeah, here's a question from Pavel. He goes, have you considered an option where the white label marketplace sellers to switch to just a pure landing page for a name without showing the other names, a standalone?
Can you clarify the question? What do you mean by without showing the names?
Pavel, if you're there, you can turn on your mic, but I think what he means is instead of having a page where there's other domains listed, just having a pure landing page for the unique, like a standalone for a single domain without any links to anything else.
Yeah. So there's two. First of all, you don't need a white label marketplace to set up a standard listing. But I don't think that was your question. I'm just trying to clarify that if you just want to add a landing page, you don't need to go through setting up the whole white label marketplace. You can simply click add a standard listing and you will get the landing page within a second, instantly. Now, what shows up as other recommendations on that page will be recommendations from your own portfolio if you are listing that as a standard listing. So meaning that if you have, let's say, 50 names that you added as a standard listing, the recommendations that you will see on that page will be from those 50 names that you already own. So even if somebody clicks on other options, they will likely be clicking on a name from your portfolio. However, of course, the customer has the option to click on our homepage or our logo, and then they end up on a different section of the platform and discover something else. So that is definitely a possibility. We don't have the option right now to disable all other links, if that's what you're asking, meaning can I just have a plain landing page with no other links whatsoever?
Yeah, I think that
we can add that. I mean, it's something, we can build if enough people are looking for that kind of solution. I mean, it's not something that, we're opposed to adding. We just haven't seen as much interest in that, at least until now, because, the recommendations work both ways, right? I mean, even on the premium section, some people could argue, why are you showing recommendations for other domains if somebody came to my, landing page? But at the same time, your names are being shown on other landing pages as well. Ultimately, our goal is to help the customers find the perfect name, right? So they looked at a name with Canna in it and they didn't like the first name they looked at, but they ended up, liking somebody else's name. Same thing can work for you, that your name was not the initial landing page they started, but the customer ended up liking your name because that recommendation showed up. So it's kind of a give and take. But in the end, what we find is, and we've done a lot of testing in this, showing those recommendations does improve the overall sell-through, just because the customer in the end ended up finding the name instead of walking away because they didn't like the first name to begin with. So, it's a balancing act. But on the standard listings, you have the option to, the only recommendation that will show are from your own portfolio. We can add the other option that you're asking about if enough people are interested in that solution, which is, don't show any other recommendations. We'll likely not do that for premium section though, just because, we want to keep that experience very consistent. But for standard listings, we do have, more flexibility. And
I think you're talking about his own like a white label marketplace. If you
Yeah.
could, yeah. So
Yeah, your own white label marketplace, customers, literally stay within your own universe. I mean, they see your branding, they see your names. There are some small elements of powered by SquadHelp, but I don't see them distracting the customer and take anything away. Like I said, we're going to be announcing some additional monetization options in future that will even make it more beneficial for you to show other people's recommendation, because if somebody came to you, your page, and didn't buy anything, that's one thing. But if they ended up buying somebody else's name, you might get benefit from that sale, even though your name didn't sell.
Yeah. Here we Petru. If the domain name I want to sell on SquadHelp is already approved at another marketable branded place, should I include the approved listing prices by those marketplaces when submitting my domain name for review to SquadHelp?
You don't have to. I mean, you can. What we ask you is if you have a desired listing price, you should definitely include that. You know, if you submit a name and you say, I want this name to be approved for $5,000, you should mention 5,000. You don't necessarily need to include that it's currently listed at another marketplace for 6,000 or 4,000. I mean, you can. That may or may not, you know, affect the pricing decision, because, you know, again, we base that more based on how other similar domains are priced in our marketplace and how we believe that name might sell at what price point. So, you know, that's something that you know, may not help even if you include that information.
Okay. Here, David asks, is there a reason that you have to pay a coin to list a domain? I don't think you have to, though. I think it's just.
So it's an option, right? So you can go, like I said, with the free submission option, in which case you don't have to use a coin. The coin gives you some additional benefits. So, you know, it's a trade-off. You can, you know, decide what works better in your situation. So you have both the options.
I've got one more question if there's time.
Yeah, go.
Yep.
All right, thanks. So first of all, I just want to say thank you again. Sometimes my questions can appear overly critical, but I'm really inspired by everything that SquadHelp's doing, and it's really fun to see all the changes that are emerging. And so my question is, are there any other features on your roadmap that you can give us maybe a sneak peek?
Hey, I was going to ask that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so there's tons of features there. I mean, to be honest, we have a roadmap that will keep us busy at least for next 12 months, just based on what we already identified. I can say that a lot of those features will be around better discovery, again, making things more discoverable for end users. There will be, like I said, there is a monetization option that we're building, which will be very beneficial. There is going to be a different type of cloud broker program that I mentioned, which will again be beneficial in promoting your names. Let's see, there's a lot of work we are doing on the search space. So there'll be more options to classify your names, more ways for our system to detect what kind of you know, classification you should be adding. So what we are moving towards, currently what you see in the marketplace is a dashboard which gives you a lot of information around what happened, what views you got, how many shortlists you received, was your contest liked or not. What we don't tell you currently is what should you do based on that information. And that's what we are moving to, is a more proactive, you know, based on everything we know about your portfolio and based on everything we know about our best practices and based on everything that we see about names that are selling, here are the 10 things you can do about your portfolio to get your portfolio the maximum, you know, the best outcome from in terms of sell-through. So there's going to be a lot more, you know, proactive alerts and features around the dashboard itself that'll make it more, you know, currently all this is human, right? We can analyze your portfolio and, you know, I can look at your portfolio or somebody else from our team and give you 5 recommendations on here are the things you can do. We are trying to make all of that automated based on the information that we already have. There's a lot of data, a lot of analytics. We're just trying to make that actionable. And I think a lot of features that you will see is seeing more and more of that data coming into action.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
Corky asked, how many domains can you submit at one time?
So if you are using the free submission option, there are limits just because, you know, we don't want to, you know, if you have 10,000 names and you submit at the same time and none of them can be accepted, it's just going to overload our system significantly. So the free submission option, I believe it starts at 5 at a time. but then it goes up. If your approval rate is good, meaning if it's better than our website's average, then you get it, the limits open up. So you get 10 and 20 or 30 at a time. So it kind of increases as we see that your names that you're submitting are higher quality, and the fact that we are able to accept them gives us more confidence that you can submit more names at the same time. And that limit is only in terms of how many can you submit at any given time. So you can submit 5 at a given time. Once those are approved, you can submit 5 again or 10 again if your limits improve. If you're using the coins option, then there is no limit. Then of course, depending on how many names you would like to submit, it's really up to you. So the coin, for us is not a way to make money, or, it's not a lot of people, might think that this is a way for us to kind of, squeeze the sellers and get, them to pay these, coins and it's more to add some throttling mechanisms, because we want sellers to submit names that they believe are a good fit for a brandable marketplace. And having these things allow them to really think critically about, if I have 1,000 names, these 300 have the best chance of getting accepted, so I should only be buying coins for these 300 and accepting or sending those instead of sending my entire portfolio. So it just allows us to, limit those inbound submissions, and it just keeps things as efficient as possible for everyone.
Okay, well, I think we wrapped up the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the platform in general, or other things you wanted to mention, whether SquadHelp or not?
No, I just want to thank you for inviting me. I have attended some of these Friday sessions in the past, and I appreciate all that you're doing in terms of bringing the community together. And from a platform perspective, I would say one thing we haven't done a good job even until now is this onboarding process that we were talking about. For a new person, the platform is complex. It's not easy for somebody to start and jump in and start submitting names. And we're working on a lot of things to make that simpler. That's because we recognize that not everyone has hours and hours every day to learn a platform like this. Your goal is to quickly list names and then focus on finding more names that you should be buying. So we're going to be making a lot of changes on our platform to make that more simpler and easy to use as you're starting up. But I would encourage everyone to please share your feedback. Anything we can do to make changes to our platform, add new features, improve things. We have a fairly lively discussion forum. It's discussion.squadhelp.com. Just you can share any feedback. I review that, every single one of those. My team reviews those, and we like was saying earlier, our roadmap is built based on that incoming feedback. So please continue to share, and that's how we will improve. And just appreciate everyone's time in just listening through this. And I hope this was helpful.
Oh, it was very helpful. Actually, I'll just ask one final question based on that. For let's say somebody like myself who, I'll be totally transparent. I tried SquadHelp literally, I think 2 years ago. I think it was November 2018. I submitted, I think, things that were not in the right place or whatever it is. And I think I got negative scores or whatever it was because it was the wrong thing. I had negative sort of experience back then. I know things have changed so much since then. For somebody like myself who tried it, a year ago or more, would it be better for us to start fresh with a new account, or should we just contact somebody there and get a reset? Or
I mean, it shouldn't matter, but if you're starting fresh, if it has been that long and you don't have much history with the platform, it might be better to start fresh, because our system will recognize you as a new user, and there is a lot of incoming alerts and messages you will receive as a new user that will help you get more acquainted with we created a lot of videos to help you kind of get onboarded and all that. So you might miss out on many of them if you come back after 2 years, just because our system might think that you've been around for a while, and we don't need to educate you again. So it might be better to start fresh in that case.
Yeah, because it's not everybody's lucky like me to have your email. I just wanted to shout out everybody. But again, Darpan, really, truly, thank you for being here for one thing, but more important than that, thank you for taking the tough questions, being transparent about everything. It really, I mean, it's very appreciated that people can get frank answers to questions that aren't always obvious or easy. I hope this helped everybody get a better view of what SquadHelp's about. I know, like, I mean, after this, I was waiting for this to sort of to get my button gear to get back on and check it out again, and I look forward to that. And if anybody has any questions, whatever it is, you feel to get in touch with me, I'll try to forward them, or I guess join SquadHelp and join their community. They seem to be very helpful and engaging community, and I'm sure they'll be welcome there quite with open arms. Yeah. So Darpan, thank you again, once again.
Thank you.
And best of luck with all the all the new projects, all the your 12 months roadmap, which I'm sure will probably get longer and longer as time goes by. But best of success to you. And is there any last words you had, or?
No, I think we covered it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to come back here again if at some point if there is any more questions. But again, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're always welcome. I think this experience, I think it's shown that we'll probably do this, a little bit more regularly. It was a last minute thing, and I'm thankful that you accepted the last literally 36 hours ago, and it's going to be, I think, a good experience for everybody going forward. So on that note, I will, thanks.
Thank you very much, Darpan, for your time.